So the Sony FX30 is here and I am very impressed. I've seen a few videos about it and I've seen test footage and it looks really good. But from all the videos that I've seen, there seems to be something that people aren't really talking about. And I'll be addressing that in today's video. I'm already rocking out the hoodie because fall is here. Not my favorite season, but looking forward to seeing the colors. FX30, Sony FX30. It's a cinema... Oh, I think my audio level is a little bit too hot, too loud. So the FX30 is actually a cinema line camera similar to that of the Sony FX3, but it is a lot more entry level than the FX30. The biggest thing about this camera is that it's only $1,800, $1,798, and if you get the XLR handle, you're paying about $2,200 or something like that, which is a very insane price in my opinion. Just to quickly go some of the highlights on this camera. If you're wondering why I'm in the car, I'm heading to the park, but just waiting for my wife to finish at the post office. But anyway, so highlights: it has a 26.1 megapixel sensor. It has 4K up to 120p, which the Sony A74 doesn't have, but there is a crop in that 4K. But it doesn't really matter in my opinion because it will use the entire sensor, the entire size of the sensor, which will still give you a very crisp 4K 120. It has 10-bit 422 internally, and you can record raw video 16-bit externally via HDMI, which is insane coming out of a camera at this price point. You get all the colors on the Sony cinema line, which is really great. You get S-Log 3, you get HLG and S-Cinetone, and over 14 stops of dynamic range. You're able to add in LUTs, and there is time code on this camera, pretty good. And of course, you also get Sony's really good face autofocus and all of that kind of stuff. So let's go over... Oh, someone's here. We go all the way to that bench on the end over there. Fall is here, over there. Okay, so we're at the park, and a few other things that the FX30 has is you have Cine EI, you have EI Quick, and flexible ISO, which is really cool features that the Sony A74 doesn't have because it's not a cinema camera, but this one does. You get 5-axis IBIS in-body image stabilization, a very compact camera body similar to that of the FX3, which is really cool. And there is also a bunch of other stuff that looks really good on this camera, but a lot of people are sort of complaining that it does not have a full frame sensor like the FX3. It's a cinema camera first. You're able to take some photos with it, but it's a cinema video centric camera first, not a hybrid camera like the A74. Got the two little trees changing colors, and the other ones will change later on. So the one thing that a lot of people are sort of misunderstanding about this camera is because it's a APS-C sensor size, they're saying, oh, it's not full frame, I'm not gonna get as good of a low light out of this camera, or the bokeh's not gonna be as nice. But APS-C sensor resembles that of Super 35 sensors, and those ones have been around on cinema cameras for a long time. My first cinema camera, the C100 that I got in 2014 or 15, was about $4,000 something used, and it had a Super 35mm sensor, APS-C crop sensor, and I got really good imagery out of that. And I shot tons of weddings with it, and it just looked really cinematic. Colors were really great as well. There are also other cinema cameras like the C200 and I believe the C300 and others that have a APS-C sensor. And that is totally fine because it's a cinema camera first, and that sensor works wonders for cinema. And there are a lot of lenses that are Super 35 APS-C crop size that are great. A lot of cinema lenses that are made specifically for a Super 35mm sensor. And the APS-C format, it's not as wide, it's a little bit more rectangular in shape, and it was made first for photography, whereas the Super 35mm sensor was a little bit more elongated, or not elongated, landscapey, because it's made more for cinema. So they're technically the same thing, but over the years this has evolved a little bit. And because of that 26 megapixel sensor, you get a 6K sensor, and you get a full pixel readout, so your 4K footage is really compressed from that 6K, so you're going to be getting a higher quality 4K. So that's why even if you're shooting 120 frames per second in 4K, it's using the entire 6K sensor. So that's why even if you get a little bit of a crop in, it's still really high quality 4K. Another pro as well is that you can use crop sensor lenses, which is really good because they're way cheaper and there's a huge variety of crop sensor lenses for Sony E-mount that you can get. So anyways, that's the video today. My thoughts on the FX30. It's a great camera, cinema camera for anyone starting out in video filmmaking. Anyone who wants a video first camera, it's a perfect one to get. So I have to consider it, but it'll probably be very hard to get. Well, we'll see what happens. And that's it for today's video. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe. It really helps with the channel. And I have something in the works coming out late October or early November, so stay tuned to find out what that is. I can't wait to share with you all, and I'll see you next time.